Hey everyone, Miss Kelsey here. To celebrate our virtual fair at home, we're going to be showing you some crafts you can do today and throughout this year to put in for next year's home art exhibits. Today I'm going to show you how to do something called a constellation jar, which basically uses a lot of items that you already have at home to recreate the night sky in your own bedroom or living room. To do this, you first need a jar. I grabbed a mason jar because that's what we have. We have a ton of canning stuff. But you can use a pasta sauce jar or basically any jar that you have at home. No need to be fancy with it. In terms of the colors that you want to use for your night sky, really the sky is the limit. You can use whatever colors really make you happy because our sky pretty much exists in all the colors. I chose a lot of the traditional galaxy colors, including blues and purples and even a little bit of lime green for a little pizzazz. The part that's really going to drive this project home is glow-in-the-dark paint. Now, you can get this at Walmart, Amazon. I got mine at Joann's. You can pretty much get it anywhere. But this is what we're going to use for our stars as well as our major points for our constellations, and that's what makes it really cool. To get started, you just take whatever jar you're going to use and start it with a black coat of paint. And this is just going to be your backdrop so that all those colors really pop and look really nice on it. So I went ahead and painted my black, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next step, which is painting the actual sky. To paint your sky, you're going to start with some of your darker colors first and then build up to your lighter pop colors. So I grabbed a nice big wide paintbrush and I'm going to go with my darkest purple first. So going ahead and grabbing a good amount of purple on my brush, I find a nice dry area. And the cool thing with this is you really can't mess it up. So I simply am just kind of dabbing and swirling and just kind of almost making a mess of it and kind of popping color, and you're going to do that color pretty much wherever you want in your jar. You make big clouds with it and kind of spin it around. And that's how you're going to get your first layer. It's a little bit hard to see on this camera, but you do want to progress with your darker colors first to your lighter colors. So that would be your first. Then you move on to your next darkest color, which for me is going to be a blue. Again, grab a nice big blob of paint and a big brush, and just kind of swirl it in and just put it on your next section. And kind of wipe it around. And fill in any extra space with that. And you're going to keep progressing up in your colors until you finally hit your light or your accent. So for this, I have kind of like a light purple lilac. And this I'm not going to do as big of a spot or area with. And I'm going to kind of put that in the areas between those purple and that blue. So it kind of looks like it's popping there. Again, it's a little hard to see on this camera, but I'm happy to show you guys this anytime. So I just kind of pop it here and there, just to make it come out. And then to end, you use your tiny paintbrush, with if you've got like a fun color, like for me, I have that lime green. And I'm going to go along that and really just kind of make a line with it. The cool thing about galaxies is that they exist in big clouds, so you can make it as big or as little or as circular. Really, there's no wrong way to paint your galaxy, so just get out there, have some fun, but I do recommend starting with your darker colors first, ending with your lightest colors for your pop. So while you're waiting for your jar to dry, you can go ahead and start figuring out what constellations that you're going to paint on your jar. I went onto Google and I just did a Google search of various different constellations. I started looking at which ones that I thought would be easy, as well as the ones that I like. So for mine, I'm going to choose the traditional Big and Little Dipper, and then probably going to do Pegasus, just because it's a horse thing, and y'all know how I'm about horses. So I went ahead and printed off those dots, and then also while it's drying, I went ahead and got a smaller paintbrush that has a rounded edge, because we're going to be making some dots with that. So that's going to be your next step. To paint your stars, you're going to use your little rounded paintbrush and your glow-in-the-dark paint. And the cool thing about glow-in-the-dark paint is it's really thick, so it's nice and easy to get a solid dot. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my star map that I have printed out in front of me. I'm going to go ahead and on my jar, just put little dots where those major stars would be. Now, once you've mapped them all on your jar, you see I have a couple painted here. You can either leave them as dots, or if there's one that you really like, or maybe not one that you can remember really well, you can connect the dots using that same glow-in-the-dark paint for a more big effect. So for that, I'm actually going to do that with my Pegasus. So as you can see here, I have a bunch of dots, and if you didn't know that's what Pegasus was supposed to look like, you would not know that was Pegasus. So I'm going to go up to my map of that one. I'm going to find where my lines are, and I'm just going to connect the dots using that glow-in-the-dark paint. And it can be as thin or as thick as you want. However, the thicker the paint is, the brighter your glow will be, but the longer it'll take to dry too. So it depends on how fast you want to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and connect those. So there's my Pegasus drawn on mine. And this is another great tool that you can use if you have a big family and you like stargazing. You can even make one for each one of the seasons, since we do see different stars at different times of the year. And you can write on the top of your jar what time of year that this best correlates. And you can always take them out and see if you can find any of these in the night sky. It's a really fun family activity to do. So I hope you enjoyed this. I look forward to seeing lots and lots of constellation jars in next year's home arts. Happy crafting!